Curious. I hope it's better than that last movie I watched. Oh God, that was so bad.
What'd you watch?
I told you the one with Colin Farrell about the gambler.
Oh, Ballad of...
Ballad of Small Player.
Yeah.
That was rough. It was so bad. It just got worse. I thought, okay, maybe I'm just tired. I blamed my fatigue. Cause I started watching it, I think, Monday night. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's just I'm tired, or because I had an allergy attack, and I watched it again on Tuesday. I said, maybe it's my allergies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the allergy attack, George. It was just plain bad.
It was just a bad film.
It was bad. And it's the same guy who did the one about the selecting the Pope that came out last year or two with Ray Fiennes. I'm forgetting the name of the movie.
Oh.
Really good movie, by the way.
Ray Fiennes. Can't remember.
Oh, gosh. It will come to me. Same filmmaker, and I really liked that movie.
Yeah.
So I was shocked. Shocked at how bad it was. It's not good. Okay, is it time?
Yeah.
Oh, has it been time?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Hi, J Foy in town.
Josh Foy, welcome to the show, my man.
Okay, hey. Well, thank you for inviting me, sir.
Thank you for having me in your lovely home today.
Oh, well, I'm glad you enjoyed the home second time here with some new additions. That's a picture.
Painting?
A painting.
A piano.
A piano and an accordion, which I need to...
You have an accordion?
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
A buddy of mine unfortunately passed away. And his wife was relinquishing musical because he was a trumpet player. He played in mariachi bands. Mm-hmm. And he had, I think, 2 or 3 accordions. And so at first, she also had like a list of recorders, you know, those from the elementary school thing, but they were like real recorders.
Yeah.
So we had a barbecue celebrating his life and whatnot, and that's when she was going to give away those things. And so we played them, you know, over drinks. And I tried playing one recorder. It was really bad. And when I saw the accordion come out, I said, I want that instead. So she gave it to me.
Is it easy to play?
It's the only thing is just the ergonomics of it all. So it is like playing a keyboard, but the keys are a lot smaller, and so it's just I'm used to playing fatter keys, so it just takes a while. But the actual process of it is not that hard. It's like the old school organs back in the day where it's bellows. Yeah. So it's just knowing when to contract and contract. It's a beautiful sounding instrument. A lot of people give it a rough go of it, but it's gorgeous. We always have this end of the year a holiday thing with the same group of friends. Yeah. And so I said we can find some old Christmas arrangements, and because there's another one of our group that's got the other accordion, so we're gonna do a little musical ensemble playing Christmas songs together. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I haven't touched it since I got it because life has been busy. But the only thing I just have to crack is the size of the keys. Okay. That's it. And they also have like those chord things. That I still have to figure out what to do. But I think I'm fast. Yeah. I think.
Okay. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
So I was going to ask, if you were to explain what it is that you do for work to somebody who doesn't know, what would you say you do?
Do you want to put it like in a bite-sized sense, or do we do paragraphs?
Whatever's best for you.
Because I do a lot of things. I just say I'm a musician and a teacher. Yeah. Both of those encompass everything I do. In more specific detail, I'm a college professor. I guess can I say it?
Yeah, of course.
Sure. Okay, Cal State, Long Beach. It's my second year, but I've been teaching at the collegiate level for the last 15 years now. And it's been fun. This new gig, it's my second year, again, as I said, at Long Beach, and the students are fantastic. Yeah. The faculty is great. What I love about it compared to the last place I was at was the mechanisms for student success. So the various Title IX programs that students can employ if they need that. or the study programs that they have there, processes. It's just general like the bureaucracy, which a lot of people don't like.
Yeah.
But as avenues for student success, both academically and emotionally, because particularly, we have a fair share of students coming in from community college, but there are students who are coming fresh from high school, and they're just getting the lay of the land. I remember when I was a freshman, it was a rough transition.
Yeah.
And so what I like about the bureaucracy is that these programs that these students can go to help make that transition easier for them. It'll be difficult, but it can smooth out the edges for them. So that's been nice, seeing that. Because the other place I kind of had to be the psychologist, the teacher, the everything else, the counselor. And now I don't have to worry about it. I can just do my job and go home. So that's great. And then musician, I'm a composer, pianist, conductor, music director, arranger, person. The list is long. It's extremely long. So I'm working at another college as a music director, accompanist, and in that regard, I am leading the orchestra there in musical theater performances or composing the music for the plays that they have. And I've done some opera stuff as a conductor. I just recently, as a pianist, worked on a live-to-picture piece, E.T. in this case. They're hiring me again. And so it's interesting just working as an ensemble player instead of a conductor. Yeah. And then compositionally, I've done film stuff, small film stuff, and then concert stuff. Yeah. And that's been played in Canada and the Eastern Seaboard and locally here too. So I'm kind of busy. And you kind of have to be that as a musician if you plan to have a career.
Why is that?
Well, it's hard work. And particularly in LA, there are a lot of musicians, so people are going to be fighting over the same jobs. And so in order, and rent isn't cheap, although mine is not so bad. But for a lot of folks, cause we're not in Los Angeles, thank God. Although I miss the food. But for folks who live in LA, rent is not cheap. So you have to, especially if you don't have like a steady gig like I do, luckily. Fingers crossed that still remains to be the same. They need to hustle for work just to pay the bills. And you kind of have to be a multifaceted person to eat, to have a roof over your head,
right.
Let alone having some R&R, which would be nice for a musician. But you kind of have to play multiple instruments, maybe do arrangements, and then you also have to hustle and drive a lot. You know, at this point in my life, I can say no to things, and I'll be okay. And if it's a yes, it's like, oh, that would be fun to do, instead of, oh, I need to do it in order to eat, to get a burger or something. So short, musician and teacher, and then long, everything else. Yeah.
In being a musician and spending, how long have you been playing for now?
I started when I was 6, so that's 34 years now. 34
years. In that time frame of being a musician, identifying yourself as a musician, what have you learned about the community, the people who also identify themselves as musicians, and what's that process been like, not only having like-minded people, but also people who understand the struggle or understand the process and what it looks like?
In general, it's been commiseration, really. For the most, because I'm mainly a composer, our main pathway for composers is to find some kind of teaching gig. That's like the cream of the crop kind of thing, because it's steady employment for the most part. I mean, I'm adjunct, so it'll be depending on class size and class load. But to have a teaching gig is like Shangri-La. But a lot of other musicians unfortunately don't have that opportunity. Right. So they may be on top of, gigging with several orchestras or bands, playing at clubs or whatever. They'll have private lessons just to help pay the bills. I wish I had the wherewithal and the strength and the fortitude to deal with that. I do not. And a lot of my colleagues, they have like a whole studio full of like maybe upwards to like 20 students in their roster to teach. That's just to help, get money. And a lot of them enjoy it. They have the great and right personality to deal with that. But that's just the reality of it all. And so I try not to mention my teaching gig because I don't need a gig as much now as I used to. Yeah. Because I certainly don't miss those days. Yeah. But I think the one thing that we do share is the love of the music. And especially if it's something that we all like, how fun it is to put it together. And every time, because a lot of the times I'm by myself, if I'm accompanying a show or doing rehearsals as an accompanist, it's just me and either the actor or the opera singer. But when I have the opportunity to play in an ensemble, it's like I get to watch another person's artistry on an instrument. For the E.T. show, I was sat next to the harp player because a lot of the stuff that I have matches a lot with the harp, so it made sense to put us together. Yeah. And I don't run into harp players all the time. So, and then that particular score, there's just John Williams wrote this gorgeous harp music. So I got to witness her just, play these intricate and very difficult harp lines. And I'm just admiring the harpist's just beautiful technique in her craft. So whenever I do have the opportunity to sit in with an ensemble, I just marvel at their abilities to do what they do. It's just really cool. And then we're all putting it together to make one project sound beautiful as best we can.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but you also said you're a composer, right?
Indeed.
So then it's kind of similar to, say, me, for example, personal trainer. If I were to go and get personally trained by somebody else, there are certain things that I understand about the body, habits, etc. But if I go and get trained by somebody else, there's actually another thing that I can possibly learn from that individual. Something that I possibly wouldn't have thought. So what are the things that you learned in that ET orchestra? That
lots of things. One, because it had been a long time. As I've intimated, I haven't played in an ensemble in a cool minute. I've conducted it. Yeah. But being in it is a different experience. And so it's just like how the trumpets sound when you're not too far from them compared to either them being in the audience or conducting them. It's a different energy. So as a conductor, I'm thinking, okay, this is what a forte sounds to them. But to me, when I'm in the audience, looking at the score and hearing them perform my piece, or if I'm conducting them, that forte is going to feel different. So it's like those practical things to apply when I'm writing my next piece. Or just like string players, I'm trying not to get too specific and too music nerdy. Yeah. But so they bow, but they have certain kinds of bowings that they like to use, and there are composers who may not know too much about the string instrument, and they'll write in all kinds of bowings, and then the we call them the concert master or mistress will change it to make it make sense, more musical, depending on what they think the composer's trying to say. And so it's been fascinating because there are some cues I didn't play on, and I was behind the first violin section. So there were a couple of times I was peeking at the music and seeing, checking out their bowings. I said, oh, I see why they made that decision. It's just easier because of where their fingers are in the string, or which string they chose. It might be better to have that movement, or it gives it a more smoother legato sound compared to the bowing that was actually written in the music. So it's just those practical things I've taken as just a musician and then applying it to my compositional work.
I see. How long have you yourself been diving into creating your own piece?
Since I was 13.
13.
I started. So I started off as a church pianist at 7. So a year after I started learning piano. Okay. And then at that time, because my mom was a songwriter too, and so she would come up with the melody and I would do the rest. I would come up with the harmonies and whatnot. and help her arrange it. So I was doing arrangements, before I was 10 years old. But it was all orally. So I would tell the bass player, this is the lick, boom, 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 boom. I didn't know how to write. And then I taught myself how to write when we got this this very old school notation program called Music Time. And at that time, I was dipping into everything as a kid. I wrote a book. I wrote a comic book strip. I was drawing. I was dabbling into acting. I was kind of all over the place. Yeah. And so there was this comic book strip. I forgot what it was called. But it involved a medical hospital for some reason. Yeah. And I wrote a theme for it, and that's kind of where I started. And then not too long after that, the church bought a new keyboard, and I had written a movement of eventually it became my Christmas suite. And that was just my introduction of it was very crude because I didn't know how to orchestrate or anything. I was only 13, 14 years old. Yeah. But it was just my way of putting down in my head, out of my head, what I heard. And so my first big piece was probably movement of the Christmas suite. And I think a couple years ago, I went, because 2 years after that, I had added 2 movements to it, spiced up the orchestration a little bit, but even then I was still, I was in high school, I just still didn't know anything. 3-4 years ago, I said, oh, it'll be fun to revisit this thing and add one more movement. And so I reorchestrated it, because it was interesting to see how far I had come from that time, since, I was 14, 15. And writing some new music as a person in their mid-30s. It was fascinating how much I've grown, how much I stayed the same. Like the natural inclinations as an artist of what I did kind of remained. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, let's put a twist to that. Or I kind of like that. I want to keep that there. Right. And so it's been great to see that grow. I have changed a lot. My tastes have changed. My interests in music making, my choices have completely changed, and that's just because of life and growth. Of course. But that drive has stayed and remained the same.
Yeah, it's interesting how sometimes you were mentioning it that pretty much all the natural inclinations that you had pretty much stayed the same, but I'm pretty sure if you were to reflect back, you would just see how much you had evolved. So I'm curious to hear that you said that you started from age 13. What have you noticed in Josh Foy that has changed from age 13 to now 40?
In regards to my music or just in general?
In regards to your music endeavors.
Experience, exposure to all kinds of newer music. Which helped shape my decision making as far as what I write. What I always tell the students who are composers in my class is to listen and to look at everything as much as possible, because there are little bits and bobs of stuff that you can take with you and imbue into a piece, and that's kind of been the case. So when I first got into college, I was smitten with minimalism. Yeah. Because I hadn't really been exposed to that before. It was just basically the common greats like Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven, and then film music. And so when I was exposed to, I was listening to John Adams' Chamber Symphony for the first time, and I'm like, ooh, that's wild. Let me see what I can do with that. So I started putting that into my music. Or there's this style of music called spectralism, which deals with frequencies and whatnot. And putting a little bit of that in my music. I see. And really, it's just a tastemaker, and you're putting it in a box, and then see what comes out. Because that's essentially what at least all artists are. But in what we do as we grow, we have elements of what we've seen in our lives, and we regurgitate it in one form or another. And so that's kind of what makes the difference between 13-year-old Josh and 40-year-old Josh, in the sense that I've learned so much, I've grown so much, I've listened to a lot, I've played a lot, I've studied a lot, and that's really shaped the surface of it all. But I think the kernel, my natural instincts have maintained the same.
They'll see the pinnacle of the pyramid, but they won't see the other piece on the
Right.
bottom that has built it up.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that's so interesting. There was something that I had just thought of, which was so it kind of reminds me a lot of a personal brand per se.
Sure.
We were talking about Joe Rogan from a little while ago.
Yeah.
If you were to look at Joe Rogan specifically, UFC, conversations, aliens, and just America, or like hunting, and that's his specific type of brand, because that's kind of what he's grown and what he's cultivated and what he's learned about himself. Yeah. Just random shit. So yeah, I guess in some ways it's all about learning, it's about processing, it's about iterating, and then figuring out what works for you, but then being unafraid of taking that first step and trying to create a piece.
Yeah. We talked earlier today about, getting rid of the self and going for it, trying it. There's no bad idea. Not doing anything is the bad idea, and just daring to suck. You have to have a sense of play, because there's no growth without embarrassment. We talked about that earlier too. There's no growth in not trying. And you have to have some kind of self-deprecation and humbleness, particularly in art making, because it's supposed to be about honest art. That's how people gravitate towards it, whatever form it takes. And so if you're not honest with yourself in the process, or you're taking up a lot of time trying to get the perfect art, one, you're wasting time. And two, you're cutting yourself off from other interesting pathways to say what you want to say.
Right. 100%. Totally agree with you. I told you about that photography class, right? Where two groups of students were giving a test so that way they can see who gets the best grade. Group A is capture the best photo that you possibly can. You're going to be graded on how good it is. Group B is graded on how many they can produce. That's how you'll be graded. And they looked at both. One person was trying to create and capture the best photo, as opposed to the other individual that's just implementing, iterating, staying consistent, just cranking out reps. The outcome of those photos was the group that did the most output had the best photos compared to the person that was just trying to make the best photo.
It's almost it's kind of like constipation.
Okay, I'm excited to hear this.
Because you're trying so hard to get it out. So hard. And this is coming from experience, by the way. So hard just to get that thing out, and it's just not coming. You're trying to position yourself in the right way. See, you lean forward. All kinds of ways, instead of just letting it come, or sometimes it doesn't. But you know what I mean. I used to fall into that trap myself, and it's at least for me. I can't speak for every other artist,
For sure.
But it was ego that was getting in the way.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, it has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not writing it down. I need to know exactly what it is, and if it's not there, forget about it. And I'm missing out on interesting pathways to get, interesting orchestration or melody that I might be interested in using. In hindsight, it felt so short-sighted to be in a constipated state, because one, you're wasting time because you could have been in, two other pieces by now, but two, you're opening yourself up to change and uniqueness because of that, and that's just because you are being playful with the process. Instead of being didactic or exacting.
Love that word.
The process.
Yeah. How long did it take for you to cultivate that?
Took a
to get rid of the ego.
Long time. Really, well, it coincided with outside work. So for me, particularly with composition, because it's different process when I'm learning a piece as a pianist, or I have a show to prepare as a music director / pianist, and then when I'm writing. So the piano stuff is easy, especially if I have to do sight reading. Obviously, I have to show up and play.
Yeah.
Not a lot of thinking involved. Or when I'm preparing show, that process is easy. It's like studying a class. I'll look at the score, study, especially if I'm a music director or a conductor. I'll check out, okay, what possible pratfalls there may be in a rehearsal process. How can I help the musicians, during that transition or that difficult passage? It's just like prepping a class. So that's easy. But when it comes to composition, the concentration is so great for me. And I need a quiet environment, and I need to be isolated. And I also need the extraneous elements of life to not exist.
Yeah.
And for a while, especially when at my other college gig, I was working 9 to 9, 4 days a week. By the end of the week, I'm dead tired. I don't want to do anything. Because I'm old school. I still write by hand on a piece of paper. So it's physical act as well, sitting, at the desk, for 10 hours or so. And so for a long time, I was writing, and then I stopped because I was just working so much. Pandemic hit, okay? And that's when I really got, because I still had, in that way, even before the pandemic, that ego trip.
Yeah.
And the pandemic kind of leveled the playing field for everybody in a lot of ways. And for me, it allowed me to experiment, throwing spaghetti in the wall and seeing what sticks. And I noticed that part of the process of play, when I'm generating ideas, was really helpful in finding a pathway forward and actually allowing what I heard in my head to come out a little bit more easier instead of being constipated.
Yeah.
And this has to be this way, but I don't know how to do it. And so it was around the pandemic when that process really took over, and it's been an enjoyable one. Even now that work has pretty much come back in full swing, I've been able, outside of the last month or two, and that's just because I've changed jobs, but I've been able to still work in writing time because of that change of mindset.
Yeah.
And it's been extremely helpful.
Yeah. What age did that occur?
So that was, what was it, 2020? So I was 35, 34, around that time.
Yeah.
Because that's when things obviously slowed down. So
sure.
I had the opportunity to make that adjustment. It was a clean slate.
Yeah.
So I said, why not? I don't have anything prepped and ready to go. I don't have like any compositional competitions or any commissions. I can just write for fun.
Yeah.
And man, it just opened things up for me.
Yeah.
Creatively.
I love that. Why is play so important when it comes to your creative endeavors?
For me, it just opens up new avenues of expression. And it can get really stale if you do the same thing. I'm not trying to knock the fella, but Steve Reich, probably someone you don't know, but he's a minimalist composer, one of the founders of the minimalist movement back in the 60s and 70s. He's kind of written the same piece, essentially. And I like forcing myself to try new ideas and having that play, particularly in the generative idea process, element of the compositional process, is very important to help push your mind into different ways of thinking about a problem. Because that, for me, every composer has a different approach and idea of their compositional process. But the play part is the more loosey-goosey element of that process before it becomes extremely structured.
Yeah.
Because now I have my ideas, I figured out how to actuate them, and now I just have to write it out. And that, I wouldn't say boring because it's always fun, but it's a very structured way of doing it. So the play process is the only opportunity where I can be very creative and loopy.
And what does that look like for you?
Oh, it could be recording myself improvising on the piano. It could be listening to a piece of music. It could be just sketching something on either Sketchpad or a piece of music. It could be studying a piece of music by a composer. It could be reading a book. It could be looking at art. It could be watching a movie. It could be going out to the club. Well, not a club, but I don't club at all. But it was like going out, hanging out with friends, and then you get inspired by an idea.
Yeah.
Going to a concert, just being. That's happened to me a lot when I go to the LA Phil concert, or I watch something with the Berlin Phil, one of my favorite orchestras, and just see, oh, I like that technique. How did the composer did that? I want to put that in my next piece. You just never know how that's going to work. Should I pause?
No, you're good.
Okay. So, that it manifests itself in a lot of ways. There's just not one way. And that's what I've learned to be open to. Instead of just like Mozart, it's downloaded into my brain and I write it down. Here it's just like, whatever. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, you give the subconscious all kinds of possibilities and something is going to stick. Yeah, because you give the brain any form of, I guess, stimulant or any question, it's going to go out into the world and find it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're working on a piece, say you're stuck, for example, on a specific writing session, you can go out, take a walk or something along the lines of that, and you still suddenly just find your answer.
Yeah, I tell my partner this all the time, and for some reason he's amazed by it. But like whenever we are talking, whenever I'm watching a show, the piece is clicking in the back of my brain. It's working itself out. Yeah. I'm always thinking about it subconsciously. Yeah. I'll check in and say, okay, you ready? No, maybe not. Okay. I'll keep on watching Law and Order.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like it's always cooking, and being able to trust that process. Yeah. It's another humbling thing because you have to relinquish a little bit of control, and there's also an element too of it's like children, in a way.
Okay.
For me, when a piece is born, you got the little baby, and you're like, you go ooh, goo goo gaga. That's the little generative idea process, and then as it grows, its personality starts to avail itself. Yeah. And then you do that, and like, oh, okay. There's certain decisions now that it's making on its own. Yeah. You just got to roll with it, because if you don't, you're getting in the way of what it truly is, and finding that balance, that dance. It takes practice. It takes skill and experience of doing it over and over again until you start to recognize, okay, this is what the piece is identifying itself. As I told you, I'm working on this Indiana Jones stuff. And it took a couple of cues for me to figure out, oh, okay, this is what the orchestration is, or the style or the sound that I'm looking for. It took a couple of cues to get there. But I got there. So now it's a little easier to write in that voice because the piece has told me what it wants to be. But you have to train yourself to listen to it.
Yeah, because, oh man, there's this thing, I've been reading this book called 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Berkman.
I've heard about it.
It's a fantastic read so far. I'm 4 chapters in. It's something I've been wanting to read, but haven't had the chance to. It's talking a lot about productivity, time management, but understanding that your time is limited and that you yourself are a finite individual with finite amount of time. So most of the time we ourselves try to stay as task-oriented, focused, or productive as we can, but little do we realize that we're focusing on the plenty of work as opposed to the meaningful work. Right. Most of the time we partake in these activities that just feels like we're getting the task done, but we're not putting in the water, we're not putting in the focus into the real meaningful work.
Right.
So there was something along the lines of that where you need to relinquish that control of trying to get everything done because you are a finite human, and if you don't focus on the big things, you won't be able to make progress in the direction that you want to go. Exactly. So I understand that from that perspective now. Much more is just completely relinquishing the control and then having that discomfort of, oh, I can be doing this stuff, but I know what's actually going to move me forward is the big boy shit.
Yeah. It's a lot of that comes with age.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of that is conditioned culturally, definitely in the West.
Right.
But I think writ large, it is something that's unfortunately embedded in the human species. It's like productivity is work value instead of meaningful work.
Right.
And the tricky and slippery thing about meaningful work is that it's kind of undefined.
Yeah, we determine meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it can have a tangible value, and sometimes it does not.
Yeah.
You know, or a practical value.
Right.
Sometimes meaningful work is volunteering at a food shelter, or a homeless shelter, or a food bank. That's practical.
Right.
You're giving it to them. But a lot of it's, you know, like what I do, it's intangible. I write music, you can't touch it. You can listen to it, but one person's reaction to it will be different from another's. And so there's a level of intangibility in this meaningful work. And because of that, I think it's been frowned upon culturally, or at least undervalued. And which is it's unfortunate because I think it gives our lives, for the lack of a better term, meaning and definition, and it's the thing that people remember us by.
Purpose is super important in everyday life.
Sure.
You have to have a reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we were to have apples and trees and water flowing around us for the rest of eternity, there would be no reason to get up. Right?
Right.
But if there's something that you're practically working towards, I don't know, that to me seems like a mission.
Yeah.
And when you have a mission, there's this thing that I like to talk about, which is when you put yourself onto a specific mission, you have a desired expectation.
Sure.
So you have an ideal. And sometimes you may find yourself lacking in that ideal, so you want to work your way towards it. And the pulling, the yearning, the desire to achieve, or the desire, not so much just achievement, but to exemplify somebody that you know is in the back of your head, somebody who you know is out there, but you're not there yet. And there's something that's very motivating about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Process. It's all about the process.
Yeah.
My mom always says, I call it HTP, honor the process, because that's what it is, process and progress. The work that we do, you know, putting the podcast together, my writing, or even piano playing, even teaching, it's process oriented. It's going from one point to another. There's a goal and there's steps to get us to that goal. And I think for a lot of people, they want to skip that process because that's where character is defined usually. Or in a more simplistic case, in a specific case in music, that's where the meat and potatoes of the piece is. It's that process of putting it together. That's what brings it to its whole.
Right.
But without it, it's just a shell. And I think this lack of desire of not only honoring the process, but reveling in the process, the difficulty of the process, the change, the heartache, the heartbreak, the highs, the lows, the extreme difficulty of it all. Sometimes ease, but mostly difficulty, definitely difficulty. That is glossed over in favor of the immediate gratification.
100% agree. The process is the reward, not the outcome for what you get on the reward.
Clocked.
Yeah.
8, whatever they say.
Is always a reward.
Yes.
Whatever. 6,
Whatever.
7?
No, keep the numbers away. Keep those
Process
numbers away.
is the reward. That's something that I have it right here, and I always have it. Do it the right way. If you do it for them, you try to do it fast. If you do it for you, you do it slow.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, hopefully, you do it slow for anybody in any circumstance, because then they would appreciate it too. But that's right. Like, for your growth, like how we all grow, I believe it's because of that process. That's what defines us. And that's what makes us interesting.
100%. Yeah. There seems, the immediate gratification thing is, it's never been easier to be distracted.
Especially nowadays.
It's
And I'm an
never
old
been
buddy
easier.
duddy. I remember what life was like before cell phones, before the internet, before social media. It was a great time. It was a nice time. Hard in a lot of ways because of the lack of technology.
Right.
You know, internet's made things a lot easier and in wonderful ways. But in a lot of ways, it's made things too easy. And like your generation and younger, just, I mean, I don't want to sound like one of those old people. So I think there's wonderful technology, and what the younger folks nowadays are doing is amazing. But there are some things that are lost, like the whole earning these kind of things, or really being able to appreciate relationships, goals, reaching goals, really appreciating it, and for yourself and not for others, so you can get that dopamine kick of look what I can do, or look what I did, and you're doing it for others. I was talking to a musician at one of the gigs that I did recently, and he was talking. It was the Whitney Houston gig, and we were talking about how concert nowadays are so different from back in the 90s and 2000s, where when a person goes to a concert, it's to experience the concert and the craft that the artist is bringing to the fore.
Right.
Nowadays, people are experiencing concerts through their phone because they want to show that they're at the concert instead of actually being present at the concert. And so we were talking about like the artistry of Whitney Houston outside of people saying, "Oh, she's really cool," but like her craft as an artist engaging the audience can be lost through a phone.
Yeah.
If that is your perspective, it's this other window.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's getting lost. Experience.
Yeah.
Being present, I think, is what's being lost.
Right.
I think there's certainly a way to utilize this technology. I don't want to just go back to the caveman days. I think that's unwise. But just to imbue presence, you know, and being genuine.
Yeah. Something that I always think of is nature. The nature every single day is different.
Sure.
The clouds are different, the sun radiating its ambiance, the trees, the way that it sparkles, the way everything, all of the above. And the thing that I think about is that it's like God painting his canvas on the world for the day. And there's a level of beauty, there's a level of richness that is being lost, all because we can't seem to get off of our phones.
I think we can't seem to get over ourselves. I think that's what it is. And that's what I always say. I think the trick is being present. You can still be present with a little gadget. You just learn how to put it away.
Yeah.
And like take in your environment. Or appreciating the person you're talking with. Or really appreciating the work that you're doing. Or the craft that you're crafting, whatever that is.
Right.
It's presence. Because they can take the phone out to nature.
Yeah.
Ooh, look, take a picture. And look where I'm at Yosemite National Park. It's still a little bit of me, self-dopamine. Right. But, like, taking into consideration that you are at Yosemite National Park. Yeah. Looking around. Being present. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the wanting to prove yourself to others, which is always a pathway to
soaking it in with your body, your eyes, your presence, as opposed to trying to create something that you will show somebody else that you did.
Yeah, right.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's presence.
Yeah.
And anything. Like, what I noticed with a lot of my, I wouldn't say, these students are pretty good with commiseration, but in the past, with a lot of young folks, just the conversation's tough for them. You know,
going up to a girl is tough right now.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
It's a struggle, and that's because the social skills aren't there because you're not being present, and so you have like sometimes unreasonable expectations. of what a possible interaction
Yeah.
could be, and that's because you're not actually paying attention to
For sure.
body cues, social cues, because you've got this image of in your mind, and you're not being present and paying attention to what's actually happening. So that I think that's the secret sauce, really. Like the technology doesn't help, but it's not the main culprit.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. It shouldn't serve as your master. That's another thing that we can touch up on too, is the amount of presence that you have. Because if you're an artist, if you're a musician, if you are trying to create something really well, not having that presence is actually going to harm you as opposed to serve you.
Right.
Because you're not seeing the dog bark at this woman and it gave you that funny idea. You're not you're not listening to the birds chirp and it gives you the sound that you can use. So being present in and of itself is not only a ability to be more reserved, kind, empathetic, present, but also helping you become a better artist too.
Yeah. I think it pays dividends, because even if, whatever form that art comes in, it could be something as literal as a dog barking at a girl, or you're doing sound in a musique concrète where you're borrowing sounds, but it could be something, a loose idea that was inspired by that.
Right.
But your emotion towards that interaction or that sound can be found in your piece, and the audience will be able to feel it. They may not know exactly where that idea came from, but they can understand your emotion towards that. And that's because you are being present and not only recognizing that sound, but putting it in the piece or recognizing that image and putting it in your art piece. Because what I've noticed this as I've evolved as a composer and as a musician, no matter in this case in my field, no matter what kind of music it is, it could be classical music, hip hop, 12-tone, world music of all kinds. If it's not coming from a genuine place, it's gonna be whack.
Right.
That's why my tastes are so varied, because if it's genuine, I'm there with you.
Right.
In grad school, there was a student. I went to CalArts, and if anyone knows that place, it is a very avant-garde kind of place where they do all kinds of things there. And so there was one piece of a colleague of mine. She's like a performance artist, vocalist kind of thing. So it's she sings, but it's like a theater piece.
Yeah.
And so this is like one of the last few concerts I went to before I graduated from there. And her piece started off with her in a trunk. In a trunk. And then I think it was a guitarist or a saxophone player or trumpet player playing loops behind her. And it was just her singing from the trunk. And it's the piece over time, if I can recall correctly, is her slowly getting out of the trunk.
Wow.
Weird image. But man, she sang her heart out. It was coming from somewhere. I don't know where exactly. And I cried. Didn't know what the hell it meant. But its emotion was so direct, and it came from a pure place that I was visibly moved.
Yeah.
And so I don't care what form it takes. As long as you're genuine and present, it's going to move people.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we were talking about Ratatouille today.
Yep.
The rat is serving and cooking food in such a way that is relevant and congruent with how Gusteau was. Gusteau was a 5-star chef, and then he passes away, and the restaurant goes down to a 3-star. The restaurant is now copying and pasting former recipes, and now here comes Mr. Remy just soaking it up because of his passion and his fire to cook, and it re-inspires the restaurant to which now it's come back up.
Exactly.
It's just love and a purity and a passion for the thing that you're working on.
And it's like moth to a flame. I'm telling you, and it can manifest itself in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
In relationships, if your friendship is genuine, man, or your heart is genuine, people will be drawn to you.
Yeah.
And just be honest with who you are.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be who you are. And don't be racist. Don't do that, okay? That's something you should be afraid of. But or transphobic or homophobic.
Yeah.
But like all the good stuff that you are, all the quirks, people will be drawn to that.
Yeah.
You just gotta trust yourself.
Because funny enough, we're all extremely the same, but also radically different. Where we all share quirks, we all have similarities, but also it's kind of interesting that sometimes our problems can be very in tune, or we revel them, or they're ours. Mm-hmm. But when we speak up about it and we kind of share a testimony or something,
yeah, sure,
we also realize that other people are also dealing with those same things as well. Yeah. So if you share your quirks, there are other people out there that also share the same quirks, or have the same moments, or share the same laughs about the same thing. So if you're exemplifying that, people are more drawn to you, like you said.
Exactly. You just never know who you're going to touch.
Right. Yeah.
Just by being yourself or being honest with whatever your craft is or whatever your work is. Right. It can go beyond the arts. Mm-hmm. It's anything that you do. Yeah. Just being honest and genuine. It's gonna. I'm telling you, people are gonna be drawn to it.
Yeah. I think the sin of artistry is trying to create art to serve others as opposed to serving you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Yeah.
So I think there's a level of play between the two of them, but I think if you're not honest, if it's something you don't like yourself, drop it like it's hot. Like it's a hot potato. Drop it like it's hot.
I think of that commercial.
Man, it's been a while. I heard that song. I was in high school, I think, when that tune came out. Man, it's a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away. Oh my god. Wow. I'm reminiscing.
No, I'm seeing that in real time. I'll let you have that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for allowing me the moment to slowly get back to reality.
So, what are some of your next moves?
Oh!
What are we working on?
Next moves in general and life?
Yeah.
Wow. That's wide-ranging. Well, immediate futures, I want to finish this Indiana Jones stuff. That's the goal. I want to finish it in the next month and a half. It's a lot of work. It looks like I got hired to do another show. So finishing out the semester at Long Beach. I'm back in the spring, which is nice. I love job stability. Mm-hmm. I want to conduct more. I mean, I'll be doing this show in the spring at the other college, but it's musical theater, and I want to do more orchestral stuff, opera. I love opera. It's a genre I didn't think I'd like, actually. And it's so frustrating because there are so many people who are completely uneducated about it. And that's the fault of the establishment, I think. And not finding an appropriate outreach. Because there's so many interesting stories. And the music is so good. Like, it's just so well written. And if people understood what the music's doing, they would understand how the piece is three-dimensional. And the psychology of the characters and the sort of crux and the moral of the story. And so that's the few operas I've done as a conductor has always been fun getting to that honesty and in collaboration with the director of the piece. But working with the orchestra and the singers, getting to that point. So that fulfills me a lot.
Yeah.
I know a good friend of mine, she's a conductor, and I'm writing a piece for her. And she's a special person. And this particular piece, it's a group selection of symphonic dances, but it's going to be based off of various dance genres. I think it's club music, mariachi is going to be in there, and that's dedicated to our mutual friend who had recently passed away. Hip hop, and then even though she's a Latina conductor. She loves like hard rock. Yeah. So one of the last movies is going to be that. So I'm going to start slowly working on that, and then I'm slowly working on two operas. One based off of Alice in Wonderland, but with a little twist.
Okay.
And if you know me, and you do, I love Law and Order. And there was a short time I wanted to be a lawyer, and so there's this other opera that's based off of the courtroom experience, and it's loosely based off of the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard,
the trial,
but with a little twist, to it.
Okay.
So I've started work on that. It's just I would have to create what they call the libretto, which is basically the script.
Yeah.
And I am not that kind of writer. I write music, not that. But I there's no other way around that. I have to put it together. Life-wise, just hanging out with friends more, spending time with family, spending time with Mikey, my partner, for those who don't know. As much time as I can get it. Gigging, eating, and likes to eat, cooking, being present more. Yeah. Is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Josh Foy.
Wait, was this it? That was it? For realsies? Wow, that was fast. Okay. Well, shoot.
I appreciate you hopping on the show.
Oh, yeah, man.
If there's any other final message that you want to relay to someone, now's the time.
Oh, I want to encourage everyone to be good to each other. We're going through very weird times. This is a very stressful time for everybody. And my only recommendation, this is what I always say to my kids, at the end of the week, is be good to each other. Be kind. It really goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. You have no idea who you're impacting.
Exactly.
Make it your mission to make someone else's day better.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, without further ado, this has been the Eccentric Mind Podcast with George Hernandez and Josh Foy. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Bye, y'all.